Hey guys, it's John. So let me deal you straight here. I teach a class on Thursday morning. I'm out the door at 6:30 in the morning. So I've obviously already recorded Thursday's episode. Now, last night around 7 p.m. Eastern, the Jimmy Kimmel story broke. In case you missed it, the episode before this one in the feed is a bonus episode of me reacting to the Kimmel news. In the episode you're about to hear now, no Kimmel at all, I don't think, but definitely nothing about this story as it was already recorded. And candidly, I had already recorded Friday as well because Thursday is teaching day. But I will come back this afternoon, Thursday afternoon, with a bonus episode and catch up on the Kimmel news. But in the meantime, here's this.
Calaroga Shark Media.
Hi there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. I'll see if my voice holds out. I just recorded over an hour of the other show I host, 5 Good News Stories. And this weekend we start 5 Good News Christmas Stories. I know it's September, but 5 Good News Christmas Stories does really well. So if you're not hip to that, I host a show, 5 Good News Stories. It's 5 stories, all of them good news. It comes out 4 times a week. And as we get closer to Christmas, more and more Christmas stories. If you want to check that out. It is a very busy week for comedy, so I had mixed emotions when Vulture released their 2025 list of comedians you should and will know. This is a very important list, and candidly, I get a lot of content from it, but I don't need the content this week, so I'm just going to tell you that this exists and start to talk about it, and I'll dive in as the days go on. Vulture writes, this year's list features comedians who approach their craft from a wide variety of perspectives, originally hailing from places as disparate as Lebanon and Estonia, to various U.S. cities. They specialize in musical comedy, clowning, which is very underrated, and I'm not being sarcastic there, pitch-perfect parodies of nuances of TikTok, and interrogating politicians. Vulture explains, to make the list, they reached out to over 200 of the top tastemakers and gatekeepers in the country, including comedy club bookers, production company executives, major network talent scouts, streaming service curators, comedy record label owners, and they asked them what comedians make them excited about going to work each morning. This is always a great list. It's always on point, and I'm recording a podcast in the basement, but, I did spend a decade plus at Sirius. I never ran into anyone who was part of this list, so I don't know who the 200 tastemakers are. That's not a shot at Vulture. I'm just like, I've never met anyone who's been part of this list. Just mathematically, I should have. And again, that's not a dig at Vulture because the list is really good. This year's comedians are Natalie Alcar, Tessa Bell, comedian CP, Rachel Coster, Esther Fallick, Jimmy Falley and Kira O'Sullivan as one comedian, Adam Friedland, Adam Gilbert, Zainab Johnson, Ray Lau, Ismail Lufti, Julia Masley, Taylor Ortega, Eric Rahill, Amita Rao, Paris Sachet, Sahib Singh, Derek Stroop, Joe Sunday, and Jacob Wysocki. Now, what's interesting is some of these folks have been around for a while. When I saw the list, I was like, I'll spotlight this on the show I host on the Live One app, which is called The Weekly Comedy Thing, and the app is Live One. The app is free. The show is free. It's like this, except I can actually play clips from comedians because of, how royalties work. I can't really do that on the podcast. But like somebody like Paris Sachet, has been around for 10 years. She's got an album in the system for 2016, but most of these people did not have anything released on digital that was available for play. I just found that curious. So they're really new faces, which is great, and a great job out of Vulture there. Variety had done that big piece with Andrew Santino. A lot of interesting stuff in there, and just, with the Emmys and everything, there was other stuff to talk about for a couple days. But we learned that the sitcom Dave, which starred Lil Dicky, is not coming back. Santino said, that's not on pause. That thing is gone. I don't even know why the narrative is out there. It's not true. We're not doing the show. I think people said it was on pause to protect the relationship of the show, but that's all nonsense. The show's done. We're all going on our own way and doing our own thing. It was a great run. We all enjoyed it very much. It ran its beautiful little course, and that was a wonderful moment in time. I'm happy I was part of it, but in no world do I think the show would ever come back. Sounds a little feisty there. I wonder what's going on behind the scenes. So he was asked, was it FX's decision to end it? Now listen to this answer. I was a hired gun. That was between Dave Bird, Jeff Schaffer, and FX. I had no power over what was happening. I kind of found out when everybody else found out that it wasn't coming back, but people saying, perhaps we'll pause it and come back. I know better. Dad left to get cigarettes. He's not coming home. Sounds like there was strife, or he's annoyed, or something is sideways there, right? GQ did that profile with Stavros Halkias where the whole thing was about like being manly man and man stuff and man and being a man and be a man and manly. So GQ asked Stavros, what are the most important things we need to teach young men in these formative years? Stavros said, I guess the lessons are twofold. First of all, you're not a piece of crap for laughing at messed up stuff. I quite cleaned that sentence up. Those things are funny. We're not going to pretend they're not funny, but understand they're just jokes, and it shouldn't be the way you treat other people in society. And then become the best version of yourself. For me, that's really the biggest lesson, right? It sounds so boring to say be yourself, but guess what? Some of you aren't going to get jacked. Some of you aren't going to be crypto billionaires. He dropped a couple F's in that sentence. The way out of being an incel is understanding you can be a loser. You don't have to be the exact ideal. Be the ideal version of you. Even at your worst, there's more people in the world that would want to have sex with you than you'll ever be able to have sex with. I'm quite cleaning this up. Truly, they're out there. You just have to find them. The quickest way out of being an incel, being a nice good hang that cares about other people, is empathetic. I promise you in the long run, you'll have better results that way by being yourself and being nice and putting yourself out there. That's pretty good advice. He goes on to say, the time I had the most success with women, I was 5'7", 350 pounds. You know what I mean? I was in horrible shape, but I did believe in myself. And now I'm trying to get that together. It's about constant growth, and it's about always improving yourself. But that's the way out of being an incel. You do have to hold yourself accountable, but don't blame other people. Don't complain if you're not trying to find a solution. I think that's literally an Arnold Schwarzenegger thing. I think that's the lesson I would give to them, because if I can do it, brother, you can do it too. I was 22. I'd hooked up with one girl. I was fat, bald, broke, living at home with my parents, and I turned it all around. You can turn it around too. GQ was curious. They couldn't just let this go. Who taught you that? Who taught you how to be a man? Stavros said, I said it, but bleeping Arnold Schwarzenegger. Action movies, sports movies. You know what I mean? As corny as it sounds, sports were big for me. Rocky, the underdog story. Obviously, my father, I had male role models or whatever, but I think sometimes our dads can give these incomplete versions of what it means to be a guy, and maybe sometimes you can learn off their mistakes. A lot more there. All right, we got to talk about the Emmys a little bit more. Remember the other night, Hannah Einbinder said F ICE and Free Palestine? Well, on Twitter, Ricky Gervais posted a throwback to his Golden Globes monologue. Back in 2020, he made some comments. Gervais had said back then, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a political platform to make a political speech. You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. Well, Ricky has removed that from his Twitter account. Critics claimed he had rethought his intervention in the context of the war of Gaza. Gervais also unshared a post that directly commented on Einbinder's remarks. So what happened was, during a backstage Emmys press conference, Einbinder said she had an obligation as a Jewish person to distinguish Jews from the state of Israel. Responding to a video of the comments posted by Variety, one Twitter user cited another quote from Ricky Gervais's monologue, in which Gervais had said back in 2020, if ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? Gervais retweeted the comment, but on Tuesday removed the tweet. He has, however, shared old posts about his Globes monologue, including a video clip posted in August that contains the don't use it as a political platform to make a political speech rant. We'll see if Ricky comments some more about what is in the spirit of his social media actions this week. Vulture wrote about Nate Bargatze and said, referent award show host is not a natural position for a comic with Nate's everyman persona. He's the type of comic who jokes about loving McDonald's and Walmart, and his down-to-earth affect clashes with the unrelatability and self-indulgence of an award show. Even if he were to uncritically lord over the proceedings, he's incapable of communicating a genuine belief that award recipients are deserving of all this pomp and circumstance. Another comedian, Bargatze's position, might embrace this. They'd use their outsider status to their advantage to deliver monologue jokes that poke at the ceremony's artifice or make political jokes that contextualize its insular nature. But these also aren't Bargatze's strengths. In his stand-up, the closest he gets to combativeness on stage is by recounting confusing interactions he's had with his wife or customer service people. He doesn't even curse. He avoids talking politics unless it's to joke about how little he understands it. And his jokes rarely take the form of traditional setup punchline one-liners. So, where his opening sketch might have traditionally given way to stand-up monologue, Bargatze opted to forgo it and cut straight to his logistical duties as master of ceremonies. He devised a plan to keep the show running on time. We've discussed that. Vulture says every time the show cut back to Nate as host, he made a point to crack a joke or two about the current donation total, which quickly grew one note. Even the jokes Bargatze made to introduce presenters, some of which were well-crafted, like when he put on a denim tuxedo and pretended to forget why, then introduced Sydney Sweeney, failed to land because the donation total bit sucked up so much airtime. I was watching. I noted that he was wearing a denim tuxedo. I heard him talk about it. And then I didn't even make the connection to the Sydney Sweeney thing. I don't think he nailed that at all. I mean, seems like a nice guy, but not a good job as Emmys host. Sorry. John Oliver was the guest on Jimmy Kimmel Live. They were both happy that Stephen Colbert won. Oliver told Kimmel, "It was great. We were all very happy. I know we wanted him to win. The right thing to happen was for him to win. But the funniest thing to happen would have been if you, Jimmy Kimmel, had won." Kimmel laughed and said, "Right." Oliver continued, "Most of me wanted him to win. A part of me, the part of me that I like more, just wanted to see your face go, oh no." Kimmel revealed there was a moment when he thought that it was possible. He said one of the drivers for one of the writers wasn't watching the show and went on ChatGPT or something and said, "Who won the talk show Emmy?" And for whatever reason, Chat said, "We won." And they texted it to us. And I'm like, this is not right, obviously. And then I was like, oh no, do they know something? And I was like, oh shoot, if we win, this is a disaster. Oliver found that funny, going, "You would have been so bleeped." He had his whole staff there with him. You would have been booed onto the stage, maybe stoned. Why do you have to ruin everything? The first ever cutaway, and the winner is Jimmy Kimmel. No! Oh, that's funny.
Gossip corner, whispers in the street. Gossip corner, probably about Pete. Gossip corner, where the rumors meet. With Johnny Mac, it's always a treat.
Let's enjoy Gossip Corner and the fun song, because the podcast after these next two stories is going to get a little serious. So we'll start with Nick Kroll. He's on Instagram. He's out for Vietnamese food in Vancouver. He's at Lunch Lady, and he shared a photo. He wrote, "Such a fun night and a great show at the Outdoor Comedy Festival in Vancouver. Jason and Zach were in town for a Greek festival, so I was glad I was able to meet up with them." He posted a picture. It's Nick Kroll, Zach Galifianakis, Mike Birbiglia, John Mulaney, Fred Armisen, and Jason Mantzoukas. Yes. The restaurant serves up Vietnamese street food inspired by the late famed lunch lady of Saigon. Meanwhile, the quarterback of the Vanderbilt Commodores apparently has promised Theo Vaughn that Theo could date his mother. Yes. Theo Vaughn has revealed that Diego Pavia has promised him a date with his mom if Vanderbilt beat South Carolina. Theo Vaughn said, "Yeah, it's true. She's a nurse, and my goal is that I'd like to marry a nurse one day." So that's why he was thinking about it. I'd like to be his friend, not end up being like a stepdad, you know? So we'll see what happens. Well, Vanderbilt 31, South Carolina 7. All right, we're on to the increasingly serious stuff. We'll start with this weird one. I saw this on Yahoo. They're answering the question, did Adam Sandler share final text messages from Charlie Kirk? The short answer is no. This is a total internet hoax. But as the hoax goes, people were circulating a post on social media saying Adam Sandler got the final text from Charlie Kirk. The not at all true text as part of the hoax would have said, "They're watching me. If I fall, don't let my voice die." Why he would send that to Adam Sandler is unclear as part of the hoax. Other clickbait articles show the same thing, but instead of Adam Sandler, will sub in people like Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker, Bruce Springsteen, Kelly Clarkson, and Alice Cooper. People are strange. Increasingly serious, British comedian Gina Yashere has sparked outrage after posting a rant about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Apparently on Instagram, she wrote that Charlie Kirk was xenophobic, transphobic, homophobic, racist, misogynist, and sexist. That hate directly affected people. That isn't political difference. If you're preaching something that is directly going to get me eradicated on the streets, that isn't political difference. As far as I'm concerned, that's terrorism. Gina added, Charlie Kirk got what Charlie Kirk advocated for. He wanted more guns on the streets. He didn't mind a few kids being shot to death in their classrooms or the odd Democrat being murdered in their home. I don't believe in heaven and hell, but just in case there is, Charlie Kirk is going down there, and if he does, I hope he gets dropped off by a black pilot. I think at this point it might be helpful to observe that Gina is black, in case you're not familiar with her. I'll also add my point of view, which is no one should be murdered. Jamie Lee Curtis was on Marc Maron's podcast. She said, I'm going to bring up something with you just because it's front of mind. She misspoke and referred to Charlie Crist, meaning Charlie Kirk. She said that was a slip of a tongue due to Kirk's deep, deep belief in religion. Jamie Lee Curtis fought through tears, telling Marc Maron, I disagreed with him on almost every point I ever heard him say, but I believe he was a man of faith, and I hope in that moment when he died that he felt connected with his faith. Even though his ideas were abhorrent to me, I still believe he's a father and a husband and a man of faith, and I hope whatever connection to God means that he felt it. She talked about the circulation of the video and said, we don't know enough psychologically about what that does. What does that do? I don't ever want to see this footage of this man being shot. Yeah, I don't know if you saw it. I saw it. I'm on the internet all day, and wow. If you haven't seen it, you don't need to see it. A couple other things I haven't been able to get to during the week. Drew Lynch praised his Spokane audience for saving a man. The man at the show had suffered a heart attack. Audience members performed life-saving measures until paramedics arrived. Lynch said, I got to experience a group of people coming together to revive someone, to give back someone their life. It was a beautiful thing to witness because it restored hope for whatever's going on in the crazy of this world. You know what? I think I'm going to wrap there and get out on that note. The Toronto Comedy Festival kicks off tonight, but I can talk about that tomorrow. See you then.